I could sit here for the next 12 hours and explain to you what Colel Chabad is doing, and I'm not even giving you a tiny smidgen of it.
About a year ago, I went to the Colel Chabad dinner. I saw everything that they do, and one specific part that hit me the most is the bar mitzvah, the mass bar mitzvah for all the orphans that they do in Israel once a year.
I got a call from Rabbi Ephraim Duchman, and he said, "David, we need help." I said, "No problem, Rabbi. I'm in. Anything for you." And the next thing you know, I'm going on a bar mitzvah trip for 150 orphan boys. And I said, "Yeah, we're going to give these boys chizuk."
I've been giving bar mitzvah lessons I've taught about 70 kids now. Obviously, these kids are very fortunate, thank God, and they're able to have a real bar mitzvah. They have the whole family there. They have a ton of friends, and ends up being a couple hundred people there. They have a whole big kids party. I try getting them to connect to this bar mitzvah project as well. And a few days before the actual bar mitzvah, I booked a flight, and I didn't know what really to expect, but Ephraim had the whole itinerary planned already for me. I booked a flight, and I said, let's do it.
When I walked into the Colel and I see all these kids, and one thing I'm noticing, they all don't know how to smile. It broke my heart. I'm seeing kids at their bar mitzvah, and they look miserable. And that right then and there, that's when it hit me. They don't have families here. We're coming to give these boys chizuk and to give their families chizuk.
I stood there handing out all of the tefillin, talis, and sitters that I helped raise money, and obviously was a very emotional and satisfying moment in my life. And each kid we handed the tefillin to, and then we danced them around to the Colel. I ended up showing each kid how to wrap the tefillin, giving them aliyahs, and laning each specific parsha for each individual child.
I see a guy in a wheelchair, and I see that another guy's pushing him, and they bump into me. I turn around, I see the guy in the wheelchair, and he tells me, "I want to dance with my grandson." I take the grandfather, I push him right next to his grandson, and the grandfather's shining bright like you never saw in your life. He has a tear coming down his eye, and the grandfather grabs the boy like this, puts him on his lap, and he gives him a blessing, and he starts crying. A week after the trip, Rabbi sends me a picture. He's the oldest of 5 brothers. That's what Colel Chabad is helping. These are the families that they're helping. They're helping people from broken families like we could never even imagine. And this was just one kid.
And then there was one kid that stands up right by the bima, was very familiar. I knew his face from somewhere, but I couldn't pinpoint where it was from. And he stands up there, and then I see over the mechitza, I see a woman, which was his mother. I recognized her too, and I'm trying to figure out where I know her from. And it ended up being that this was Ari Fold's son and his wife. Ari Fold, his father, happened to have been murdered by a terrorist within that year. Ari's son stands up next to the bima. He's the youngest boy in the family. I showed him the spot, and we rolled to the next parsha, and he lanes, and he did a perfect job. And after the bar mitzvah, I told him, I'm like, that was a perfect aliyah. And then he turns to me, and goes, "Yeah, my father taught me first 6 aliyahs. My grandfather taught me the 7th." I knew I was there for a specific reason, and just being there, it changed my perspective on everything, my perspective on life. And I knew that I wasn't there just for a bar mitzvah or for 120 bar mitzvahs. It was for a way larger picture, and to understand what Colel Chabad does for each individual child. They go above and beyond, and I just couldn't be more proud to be part of such an organization, such an amazing place.
We always had food on the table. I always had whatever I wanted. I was never cold in the winter. I was never hot in the summer. We had air conditioning, we had heat. I had my family around me my whole life. These people don't have family. So what does Colel Chabad do? To help them grow up the right way.
My whole life, I've been going to Israel. Whether it's a family trip, whether it's when I studied in yeshiva, whether it's on vacation. Every time I go to Israel, it's always to get something. This time, when I went to the Colel and when I was there for these kids, I was able to get something way more than I ever wanted. It was always, I intended to be giving something, to be giving an experience for these kids, to help out in whatever way I can, but in return, this Israel trip, I was able to get way more than I ever could have imagined.